Now to the latest developments in the ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas. After Israel's prime minister delayed final approval, Israeli media is now reporting the deal is set to go ahead.
The Israeli cabinet expected to vote on Friday, with the first of the hostages set to be released Sunday. Remy Inocencio is in Tel Aviv with the latest. Remy.
Dick, hi, good evening. It is actually just past midnight here, and it was a long day of anxiety from this morning onwards when we got word that Israel's government would not hold those meetings to approve that ceasefire deal, and really just hours after it was announced. An Israeli official told CBS News only that it was linked to Israel's release of up to 1,000 Palestinian detainees that would be swapped for 33 Israeli hostages, and now we know tonight that was resolved.
In Khan Yunis, a displaced Gazan expressed joy that the war may soon be over.
Why I am so happy about the ceasefire? Because all of this are going to end.
And in Israel, feelings of anxiety and the hope that the fragile deal will hold and that the hostages will start to come back.
We are very hopeful, but we have this concern that something will go wrong along the way and not all hostages will be released.
Do you allow yourself to hope? No.
I wish I did, and I bless the times that I do, but I don't often enough because it's such a hard situation.
The last time Hamas freed hostages was more than a year ago in exchange for Palestinians in Israeli prisons. The logistics of this deal will be extremely complex. Even Hamas getting hostages safely to a handover point will present significant security challenges. U.S. officials are hopeful that any more setbacks will get resolved quickly.
I'm very confident that this is moving forward, and we'll see the start of implementation of the agreement on Sunday.
Israel's bombing of Gaza has not stopped, even as talks continue. Overnight, an IDF airstrike hit a house in Gaza City. Another hit a mosque, captured by our CBS News team in Gaza. Yet, at the same time, hope lies with humanitarian aid trucks on the move, on the Egyptian side of Gaza's border. Food, water, and medical supplies waiting to get in. But first, waiting for that deal to be signed.
Remy, it can't come soon enough for everyone involved in this matter. We know that you were in Hostage Square. For our viewers, that is where families of the hostages are now encamped. Tell us what the mood was like there.
Right. Families and friends and supporters, we spoke to them earlier, and the mood is mixed. Some people are allowing themselves to hope, but that hope is very difficult to allow to continue on. Some people aren't allowing themselves to hope, and they feel that everything that has happened up to this point over the past 467 days has been some cynical nightmare between both Israel as well as Hamas. But with this breakthrough yet again through what we expect will be the approval of the ceasefire deal tomorrow and the potential release of at least 3 Israeli hostages on Sunday, there is this hope that a lot of people saying that they haven't been allowed them to feel, but at least now is the time that they are saying, okay, you know what? Now is the time to hope. We're going to let it carry on, and we're going to see this through over the next couple days.
And Remy, question is that if the ceasefire deal has been announced, why is Israel still bombing Gaza?
Yeah, good question. A ceasefire deal that has been announced does not mean a ceasefire deal that has been signed, approved, or, as we are seeing, implemented. And so it can be seen that the Israel Defense Forces, Israel's military, is still using this gray area, this window, to continue bombing Gaza in the self-avowed goal to still try to destroy Hamas. But as we're seeing in the process of this, also still continuing to kill men, women, children. As we've heard from our own CBS News team, more than 70 people died just since this ceasefire deal was announced, and that total death toll, that death count, is now rising very, very quickly over the past few weeks since the start of this year towards the 47,000 mark. But we do look ahead to that ceasefire deal being signed, and hopefully tomorrow.
We will continue to follow developments. Remy Inocencio, live from Tel Aviv for us. Thank you.
Remy, thank you. Palestinian and Israeli Americans here now wait for word that the ceasefire will begin on Sunday.
Lisa Rozner spoke with the father of an American hostage from New Jersey, as well as a man from Gaza whose mother and sister were killed.
Before October 7th, 2023, this was Ahmad al-Wahidi's home in central Gaza. Days later, he says it was reduced to rubble.
When the attack happened, we were just like having our breakfast in our peacefully, like in our backyard.
He says his mother and 21-year-old sister were killed in a missile strike. Since then, he's left the country. His father and 4 siblings are still in Gaza.
Can only contact them every 3 weeks. You know, they're living in a makeshift tent. This announcement will give me the space to mourn the loss of my sister and mom. So I was like euphoric and at the same time heartbreaking.
That feeling echoed at the Palestinian American Community Center in Clifton. The executive director says her family in the West Bank does not know why her nephew has been detained by Israel for 6 months and hopes he is released as part of the deal.
And this question I kept asking was, has Israel agreed to the ceasefire? And the answer I kept getting was not yet. I wasn't surprised.
And just a half hour from here, also in northern New Jersey, the family of hostage Edan Alexander is closely monitoring for updates.
They will vote on it, but it will pass. But they say that it was some kind of new demand from Hamas. I don't know if it was or not, but that's behind us. Nobody confirmed that is in any of the phases. So hopefully between now and 42 days from now, we will be out.
The owner of Reunion in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, grew up in Israel.
It's just a really nerve-wracking few days, and we just hope for all this to be over for everyone. Just as a human being, not only as an Israeli or Jewish, just for people to come home and be with their families and for all the suffering to be over.
She says her parents are visiting and hopes they'll return home to better news. Lisa Rozner, CBS News, New York.
Now the world is watching and waiting for the ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas to be finalized. Israeli media says the last-minute dispute with Hamas has been resolved, and the Israeli cabinet is expected to vote on the deal tomorrow. The first round of hostages could be released as soon as Sunday. Palestinian and Israeli families say that this is a first step in a long road to recovery after more than a year of violence. Lisa Rozner has their message of hope.
Sweet memories of Israeli father David Cuneo with his twin girls are what his family is holding on to. David's cousin lives in Brooklyn.
Number one is just getting him home alive. My family is still living in purgatory, and there's still negotiation that has to happen for phase 2 to actually go into effect.
David and his younger brother Ariel are not among the 33 hostages to be released in phase 1. They were kidnapped by Hamas October 7th, 2023 from kibbutz near Oz. David's wife Sharon and their 2 daughters were released in November 2023. In Crown Heights Jewish community, skepticism over whether the ceasefire agreement will happen.
Well, if it's up to me, should we just continue fighting until dismantle Hamas completely?
You want to make sure that we're not doing something that's just going to come and bite us back. What will practically end in the least amount of lives lost on both sides? Do that.
Dr. Shema Alo says in Gaza, her father and brother were killed. She shared her story at the Palestinian American Community Center in Clifton, New Jersey.
Time and time again, the weight of their absence hits me with the force of a tidal wave. With this ceasefire, I can mourn them in a way I never could before.
And community leaders say the ceasefire would only be the first step in a long road to recovery.
We must call for the reconstruction of Gaza with health care at its core.
Rania Mustafa says her cousin in the West Bank was detained by Israel 6 months ago, and her family doesn't know why.
Only in the last 466 days has the number skyrocketed. If it doubled from how many prisoners were before October 7th. And
so many questions, and they hope it's only a matter of time before the answers and relief set in. In Clifton, New Jersey, Lisa Rozner, CBS News, New York.